Woo! Feeling crazy this week on episode 302 of ITCAF podcast, man. Oh my goodness. Has everybody been seeing the craziness that was this past week when it comes to Marvel, the MCU's publication? Kevin Feige getting out there, saying stuff, talking all the
Woo!
good things. Man, oh man, it's getting all of us nerds out there wet. I'm not even going to lie about it. So we're super excited to deep dive into all of that this week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You say all of the good stuff, but some of the fans are thinking it's bad stuff, of course,
Yeah.
because you can't please everybody. And so some of the news that he broke, they're like, wait a minute. We're going to dive all into that. But the one, I will say, the one that I think surprised the most, Succession. What? We're gonna get into that. That's the word that stuck out to me in that whole interview. I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. Yeah, man, I can't wait to dive into that. And of course, the Fantastic Four. What a huge success for them coming right out of the gate, which they needed. It's gonna be great talking about that, man.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. We're gonna give our thoughts and opinions on the film because both of us have seen it, so that'll be fun. We teased that on social media earlier, and man, oh man, it's gonna be a great freaking show. But let's get a little crazy now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Did y'all see that? What?
Let's just throw Scream 6 in there for like
It
my
was good.
favorite movie. It was really good. The best of the franchise, in my opinion, since the first one.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Oh my goodness. Welcome back. Like I said, 302 of ITCAFpodcast. And you guys know your host with the most, myself, J. Logan Austin, aka J-Lo Fantastic. And then, of course, Dustin and Bergman, aka The Mouth.
Yes, what's up?
Man, oh man, before we get into the latest and greatest entertainment news, of course, we got to take care of some business. Before teasing the rest of the show, or going into the show, I should say, be sure to leave a rating on this podcast, comment below, and tell us what you actually think about the show. Because leaving a rating on this podcast actually helps people find the podcast, especially those who are trying to break into it and those who enjoy entertainment news. But we're here to lend a helping hand. We want to give people the tools they need when they're in the room where it happens, where they're talking to executives, where they're pitching ideas. We want to make sure they have the information, what's going down with current events in the entertainment industry. That's what this podcast is for. And man, oh man, like I said, comment below, word of mouth. That's what it's all about. Share the show so we can help grow and you can be here on the ground up. That's for sure. And then, of course, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can start rocking the latest and greatest Crazy Ant Media gear. We do have a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone.
Facts.
That is for sure. And then, of course, we are filmmakers. So if you go to our website, you can find everything that we're working on right now. We're currently working on a film called The Fourth Branch.
Yes.
It's a political thriller slash drama that my guy over here, Dustin, wrote. And
Me?
man, oh man, things are going great with it. Experiment, man. That's what it's all about.
Yes.
Iron sharpens iron. So continue moving forward. That's for sure. But we got to bring it down. Got to bring it down a little bit because this past week, as I'm sure everybody has seen, it's been crazy for the entertainment industry when it comes to deaths. First, we're going to start off with Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Everybody knows him from, of course, The Cosby Show, played Theo Huxtable. He died last Sunday in an accidental drowning. He was 54 years old. Warner was on a family vacation in Costa Rica, according to Elberth Leon, head of the tourist police for Costa Rica's Atlantic region. Both Warner and his daughter found themselves dragged by an ocean current when an accident occurred. Two people who were there at the location went in with a surfboard and a boogie board to help rescue them. One of the helpers managed to get Warner's daughter back to land safely. Now, Warner was later pulled out of the Red Cross by the Red Cross lifeguards and one of the rescuers from the Caribbean guards without vital signs, Leon said. Now, he died of
Asphyxia. Yep.
asphyxia
Yep.
After The Cosby Show, a grown-up Warner played Malcolm McGee on the UPN sitcom Malcolm and Eddie, of course, Sticky on FX's motorcycle drama Sons of Anarchy, and AJ Austin on Fox's The Resident.
Yes.
But most recently, Warner launched a podcast with Wasai Baraka and Candace Kelly called Not All Hood, in which the co-hosts discuss Black masculinity, mental health, and media representation. Now, Warner is survived by his wife and daughter, and that's such a tragic catch-22 type of event, and I know you can relate to something like this.
I mean, yeah, this is devastating. One, I can just relate to it in a couple of ways. Obviously, anybody my age, I mean, he was a pretty significant guy growing up in the 80s. And then finding him again later on in my life with The Resident. But aside from that, this is a drowning act. He's younger than me, 54. He's younger than me. It's always terrifying when somebody younger than me dies. And then the way tragically that he died, with the accidental drowning, it's very reminiscent of my brother drowning. It's heart attack related, not a current related, but yeah. So it kind of like really hit for me, and I think the real tragic part about this, and as a father, I would have probably. I mean, there's no doubt. He died trying to save his daughter. From all reports, they said he was frantically trying to get to his daughter. I mean, what parent wouldn't try to save their kid first, right? Like, they're both struggling in that current, but he was desperately trying to get to his daughter, which is why he ended up passing. They weren't able to get to him. They were able to get to the daughter. So, yeah, this is sad, man. It's just, you never want to hear somebody like leaving us like that. But, especially when they're good people. You're reading all these accounts and all the people remembering him finally and everything, and just, we know a couple of people who know him, and nobody has a bad thing to say about this man. He was very private, but from what we're seeing, what we know, what we've heard, he was an outstanding father, an outstanding husband, an outstanding friend, and just was a good human being. So this is a big one, man. This is a big loss.
Completely agree. Yeah, it's very freaking sad. I do like too how they. I was watching CBS in the morning, and they did reach out to Bill Cosby and had him make some remarks and remember him. I guess they still did have a very close relationship because I mean, he did grow up on the Cosby Show,
Yeah.
so of course that was going to be like a father figure to him. And respect, of course, Bill has done some horrendous things throughout his time, but respect to him for being man enough to still come out and say his condolences in public and speak about him positively. It's such a crazy thing. And yeah, catch-22 loss, man. It's super sad.
Yeah, he related it to the real life loss of his son. A lot of people don't remember because it's all about the bad stuff that he did, but Bill tragically lost his son. And so he said that it felt like losing his son again. Yeah, just it's rough. It's a loss, and yeah, it's gonna be felt for a while. But there's so many more. I know next one hits hard to you. Ozzy Osbourne, guys, a founding father, of course, of British heavy metal and a latter-day solo star in the new millennium reality TV luminary, died this Tuesday. After, of course, I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, a years-long struggle with Parkinson's disease, on top of a lot of other health issues due to just rampant years of hard living, drug abuse, alcoholism. I mean, he never was shy about admitting the life that he lived. He was 76 years old. Here's the crazy part, guys. I feel like he knew it was it. He knew this was it. He was going to go in the next couple of days because he had just performed 2 weeks ago at what was billed as Black Sabbath's last concert, a festival titled Back to the Beginning, in which him and the band's hometown of Birmingham, England, that amounted to a massive tribute to the legendary band, including from such legendary spiritual offspring as Metallica, Guns N' Roses, Slayer, Tool, Pantera, Alice in Chains, and more. And he sang. He was not mobile. He was in his chair, but he let it rip one last time, which is just even more tragic. Now, As you guys know, from 1969 to 1979, Osbourne was the headbanging frontman from the Birmingham, England-based Black Sabbath, which codified the bottom-heavy, churning sound and lyrical demonology that would, of course, run through dozens of metal bands, even to this day, honestly. Though the group's history was a chaotic one, characterized by monumental substance abuse, as I said, and tumultuous infighting, its early albums survive as classics of the genre, you guys know. And because of that tumultuous infighting, the band fired him from Sabbath in 1979. No problem. Ozzy launched a solo career of his own on that. In commercial terms, surpassed the success that he had with Black Sabbath. His popularity among metal fans was so immense that his wife and manager, Sharon Osbourne, built a touring festival famously known as Ozfest, all around his success, and it became one of the biggest box office attractions of the 90s. Now, Osbourne, of course, garnered even more fame in the early new millennium age as he became the patriarchal father figure on The Osbournes, MTV reality series that, of course, focused its lens on the rock star's home life, with the most infamous Sharon! I mean, who doesn't remember that, right? Osbourne, of course, announced in January of 2020 that he was having escalating health problems and then was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. In February of 2023, it finally got the best of him, and he issued a statement saying that he was retiring from touring, citing spinal injuries that he had sustained in 2018. He is, of course, survived by Sharon and his 5 children who have all taken it really hard, right?
Yeah, it's been quite a crazy thing because at that concert, his daughter was proposed to in front of him, and it was like this big, shocking surprise type thing. And, I'm sure they're happy to have that moment that was able to happen while he was still with us. It is such a crazy thing with that concert being like 2.5 weeks ago. It is, and he still sounded great. He still sounded pretty damn good for a 76-year-old who was basically on his deathbed. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, I was probably like 11, 12 years old when I first started discovering the genre of rock and roll and started to listening to like heavy metal, classic, 80s rock, like all that stuff. Ozzy Osbourne was a huge instrumental part in that, and I wanted to learn how to play guitar for such a long time because of the riff from Iron Man, and it is such a crazy thing, and he was such an icon in such a different way too. Like he's one of those people. He goes down like like the rock star Betty White. He goes down. He's like iconic. He's one of those people who just basically put forth so much energy, so much positivity, and so much realism because, like you said, he never shied away from anything to who he was. And yeah, it's kind of wild because I remember he had like a little stint with the WWE writing songs and performing at wrestling events, and they did it with pay-per-views, and so he was big in that sector, and like he would pop up in movies, and he was always so funny, and like he really revolutionized the reality TV game too. Everybody always thinks about the Kardashians as the queen pins of reality TV, but when the Osbournes started their reality TV show, like it completely changed how reality TV was approached.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're iconic in so many ways, and yeah, it's a really tough loss in the music community.
It really is. It's funny you brought up the stature of the Osbournes because it of course spawned Family Jewels, Gene Simmons reality show with his, and he was like really put out a moving statement about the loss and what it meant to him because I mean obviously Kiss was right around there with Black Sabbath and that genre of music and that list of bands that I listed, I mean when you think about what he meant to the music industry and the careers that were launched because of that band and this man, it's just, but yeah, I think that the thing I respected most about him is he just owned who he was. He knew he was controversial, and he was a good man, But he had some issues, and he owned up to that. He's like, did I do some crazy shit? Did I do some demonic shit? Did I do? Yeah, and I own it. And that's just, but when you really look at it, he was a husband and a father, because, and I want to bring this up because also in our next one, there were issues with this. There were literally people all over the social media and the internet saying they were glad he was gone because he was demonic and that he's gone to hell, and that, regardless of what your religious beliefs are, whether you like metal, not metal, whether you disapprove of what he did on stage or what, this was, like I said, a father, a husband, a son. To say, I'm glad he's dead and I hope he's in hell where he belongs is just like, that's awful. And I hate seeing that type stuff. And it just goes to also what happened with the other person that we lost this week, which really, I think, came to a shock to most people, even though we knew he had been struggling as of late. Terry Bollea, otherwise known as Hulk Hogan, guys, the wrestling icon and actor who became most recognized, of course, in the sport of wrestling. He also died. He was 71. Now, according to Clearwater Police in Florida, Hogan died Thursday morning due to cardiac arrest. He was treated by a rescue crew before being taken to the hospital, where he eventually lost the fight and was pronounced dead. Now, Hogan, born Terry Gene Boella, as I said, grew up in Florida. He soared to fame, of course, in the 80s after winning against the Iron Sheik and cementing Hulkamania, brother, momentum in one of the most culturally impactful matches of his career. Now, that fight made him the World Wrestling Federation's heavyweight winner, of course. The 90s also saw the wrestler further his acting pursuits. He had already played, as you guys know, the Thunderlips, right, in Rocky. And then his Hollywood career continued with roles in 1990's Gremlins 2, The New Batch, 91's Suburban Commando, 93's Mr. Nanny, and 96's Santa with Muscles. Now, Hogan is survived by his wife, Sky Hogan, as well as his ex-wife, Linda Hogan, and their children, Brooke Hogan and Nick Hogan. Brooke just very impassionately said she was glad. If you guys remember, they had a riff and they haven't been talking, and she said that she's grateful and will forever be grateful that the last words she spoke to him before they stopped talking was, "I love you." This is another, I mean, this man, there is no John Cena. There is none of those people exist and make the transition to Hollywood without what Hulk Hogan was able to do first, right? Hulk Hogan was really, when it went from Deep South wrestling and all these little ones in Georgia and ones in Florida, and it was taken to the national stage. It was Hulk Hogan and a handful of others, Randy Macho Man said, that brought it and elevated it to the level that became what we know it is now. And without him, that doesn't happen. And he was the face at the beginning for a very long time. He's a pop culture icon for sure. This was another one, though. Way back in the day, guys, way back in the day, he made some racist comments. And that was all it was again. I'm glad he's dead. He was a racist. He deserved to die. Again, this is a man who recently, if you were paying attention, found God and was very Christian and owned up and apologized for what he had done. The idea, again, that we are at a state in this country where instead of tragically acknowledging and resting in peace someone who has tragically passed, we fire hate off. And this is not what we should be about, guys. This is not what we should be about. So we want to just respectfully, pass along our sincerest sympathy and well wishes to all of the families of the three that we lost. It's hard, and you never really recover from deaths like this, especially tragic deaths. But know that you are not alone, and that, our best and sincerest wishes are with you. And, this was a tough week, man. And I have a feeling we've got some more coming.
Yeah, it's super sad. It's a lot, man. Yeah, but want to shake that off, though, because, that was like 10 minutes of sadness. But, I mean, you have to talk about it. That's like, it's a weird week. It's been a weird week when it comes to deaths in the celebrity, entertainment community. So, yeah. Whew. Anyway, Disney Oh my gosh, guys, we're back.
Yes.
Disney is back.
Let's
Marvel
bring it up.
Studios, Kevin Feige last week. I mean, I think definitely the success of Superman definitely had something to play
Oh,
into
for
it.
sure.
Kevin was like, James Gunn's been out there talking about his universe. It's been successful. Let the old G, the godfather of the superheroes, the modern day superheroes, I should say, come back out, start talking about his universe. And that's exactly what he did. He had a lot to say earlier this week about the future of the MCU. He did confirm that the move to bring Robert Downey Jr. back as Doctor Doom, officially replacing Kang as the MCU's next major villain, was decided before the legal mess even
That's
happened with
interesting.
Jonathan
Yeah.
Majors. Now, Feige also revealed that Miles Morales will not be swinging into the live-action Sonyverse, or into the live-action MCU until Sony's Spider-Verse wraps up in 2027, so we can cut that noise out.
Yep.
Plus, Marvel's not just rebooting the X-Men, they're also planning to eventually recast legacy icons like Chris Evans, Cap, RDJ's original Iron Man, and on over to Blade now. This has been the hottest topic of the entire MCU for at least the past, I would say, 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And he had some great news confirming that Mahershala Ali is still attached and still committed to freaking be this character. And the script is finally done, they say, and the story is set in modern day times, saying that the long delay was because they want it to be insanely great. Of course, they got this whole new revolution coming with new characters, with huge iconic actors, so they want it to be great for this vampire flick. And of course, a big pivot that has been hinted at since late last year. Feige admitted they're slowing things down. Iger
Yes.
came out and said Disney was doing this for the entire company. Now Feige's coming out and saying we're doing this for the MCU as well. Fewer movies, fewer shows, and more focus on quality over quantity, like Disney has been preaching over the last year and a half, to win back fans who feel burnt out. And man, oh man, we're definitely going to be diving into the winning back fans with this next story.
Oh, yeah. And so is that strategy off to a good start? Are they starting to win back the burnt out fans? Well, the Fantastic Four First Steps appears to be saying yes, because they took some big first steps at the box office, earning a mighty $24.5 million in Thursday night previews. Now, that haul is the best preview result of the year so far, beating the previous high of $22.5 million set by Superman a couple of weeks ago. Now, the Fantastic Four First Steps, the latest entry, of course, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, is on track to make $100 to $110 million in its opening weekend, although rival studios and us think it's probably going to soar even higher than that. The international box office accumulated through Thursday was also an estimated $27 million, and it's expected to rack up another total of $90 to $100 million for a worldwide total, if all holds, for somewhere between $190 to $200 million on the opening weekend worldwide. Now, the Fantastic Four First Steps will win, of course, this heroic showdown this weekend, and its opening results will be in line with the Man of Steel's launch. First Steps officially brings back, of course, Fantastic Four into the MCU and away from some of the lackluster Fox movies. So, yeah, let's talk about it. We kind of touched on a little bit of everything that Feige was saying, but he was just diving deep into some stuff.
Man.
And one of the confusing things that I want to talk about briefly off the top is when you said, because we kind of knew the recasting of the X-Men was coming. I always kind of knew in Secret Wars they were going to kill off the 20th Century Fox X-Men, and we would see a young cast. That's not surprising. I think what caught everybody off guard is when he said, well, we're gonna replace some of the legacy guys too. And that infuriated some people. That brought up, and I think what played into some of that anger was because it didn't really make sense. He said he thought that the reason that Thunderbolts underperformed, even though it had now fallen into the new strategy with lower budgets, more quality storytelling, he felt like a majority of that cast was on TV shows, and if you didn't watch the TV shows, you probably didn't know who they were, so you weren't invested in that. That's his opinion on that. And then he kind of did this weird thing, which I thought was a backhanded slap to Anthony Mackie, which I didn't really like. He said that he felt like the failure to achieve massive numbers at the box office for Captain America Brave New World is because it wasn't Chris Evans, Steve Rogers. And what? Like, that's not very nice. But saying that he thought that the failure at the box office to achieve big money was because it wasn't Chris Evans as Steve Rogers as Captain America, how do you follow that up with saying, by the way, we're going to recast Captain America, Steve Rogers, without Chris Evans? Well, wait a minute. You just said the reason the Captain America movie didn't work is because it wasn't Chris Evans as Steve Rogers. Now you're saying, but anyway, we're going to get rid of Chris Evans as Steve Rogers and recast the role. Huh? That's confusing, right? Like, and he likened it to, well, how many times has Batman been recast or Superman been recast? First of all, Superman was recast because Christopher Reeve died. Period.
Right.
I think he would still be 60-something years old and heuld be playing Kingdom Come Superman. They would not have touched that if he had not died.
If he didn't have the accident.
That seriously. But using that, Marvel's a little bit different to me because Captain America's storyline, we have seen an aged Rogers take over as Nomad and then come back as an aged Rogers. Partnering with where there's two Captain Americas, Sam and Steve. So I don't think it's necessary to young him up and recast him. Same thing with Iron Man. I don't get that move. RDJ, you can play on the comic book storylines have been evident with aging Tony. The heart problems coming back, the alcoholism, the dealing with the stress of being the hero on the hall. I feel like there's storyline there where we don't have to make them younger versions to start over with them. Let them play out the old legacy era of while bringing in new faces. I think that's just my thought on it. What do you think about that?
I honestly think they're approaching it as a comic book writer, as a comic book publisher, where they're like, okay, the new story, this Tony Stark or this Iron Man, 171 is different than issue 3. I think they're going to approach actors and storylines like issues where they're going to be releasing new ones every 10, 15 years because there is so much different stuff out there. Like you've talked about before, Marvel has content for years and years and years that they can continue to do. But yeah, it's different though, because when you talk about the recasting of Superman or the recasting of Batman, I feel like that's after those storylines were done and those actors were ready to move on. But I mean, I don't know. It's all just very weird. And with the legacy characters like Captain America, like Iron Man, they are so associated with these actors that it is going to be very, very strange for the audience to get used to that. Because, I mean, they did something that was never really done before with the first 15, 20 years that the MCU's been in existence. And I don't think that average moviegoers who like superhero movies that don't read comic books are going to appreciate or like that as much as, different things. I don't know. I just don't feel like it's a good idea. Like we've talked about, Marvel has so many different characters that they can use. They're reintroducing Blade. Fantastic Four, in my opinion, was fantastic. This is literally the first steps for Kevin Feige to introduce the new characters with the X-Men, with Blade, with Fantastic Four, and to start new storylines. Just leave the ones in the past. I don't think that Captain America and Iron Man should be recast.
Well, and I have a theory about why they called it. I was always asking, myself, what's the first steps? Why are they calling it first steps? Does it have something to do with space? Does it have something to do with... I think it's titled First Steps because it's the first step in relaunching the MCU.
Agreed.
And I think that if you're going to get rid of the legacy characters, which apparently is the goal, I think that the Avengers are going to be phased out. Not just Steven and RJ, but all of the legacy. The Avengers will no longer be the face of the MCU. The Fantastic Four will be. I think it was very intentional why they cast who they cast in this film. Feige made no secret. Also in these comments, he said they're Marvel's first family. They are, and I think there's a reason why Pedro is going to be leading the Avengers in Doomsday and Secret Wars. I think it's the transition from Avengers. Fantastic Four will be the new face of the MCU moving forward. They'll be the go-to, every couple of years having a Fantastic Four movie like they had Avengers movies. I think if you're going to do that shift, this was a smart move. Introduce the Fantastic Four, get them right, make people love them, and then use them as the launch for your new MCU. I'm excited for it, though. I loved Fantastic Four. They nailed it. The chemistry was so spot on. The back and forth between Sue and Reed, between Reed and Ben, between Ben and Johnny, even Herbie. I loved the interaction with Herbie the whole time.
Yeah, I thought they did amazing at very well at highlighting specific relationships with two characters throughout the entire family. That was absolutely beautiful.
And this is what they always do best, what worked well when it was working for them. They have a plan. They are setting stuff up. And if you don't think that's true, there was one line that some savvy reporters caught and we're asking Pedro about. There's one line that set up a major storyline if you're a comic book geek that is likely coming. The one line where Sue turns to him and says, "But sometimes you being you hurts me." That set up that it's not always hunky-dory between the two of them. Yeah. Here comes Namor. Here comes Doom, who both in comic book lore have had relationships with Sue. That doesn't go so well with Reed. That one line sets that up. That gives you a clue that sometimes he's a lot for her and she needs a break. So just the thought process in setting that up so far ahead of the game. And then, do we drop spoilers?
No, I feel like we could. Okay. We're too close.
Because...
But I will say the highlight for me was Joseph Quinn. Quinn
he was
as
stellar.
Johnny Storm was absolutely
stellar.
My favorite. And this film too is going to catapult, because they've been calling Pedro just a television star. This is going to catapult him into a movie star. So I'm super excited about it. And everything was honestly great. This is what you wanted from a Fantastic Four. Galactus, I was scared. There was times I was literally scared because of the scope of how they created him. I was very impressed with everything that they did. I was a little worried at first because there's no Marvel open scene. There's no that opening title sequence where it's like the MCU.
They just went right in.
And you just go right in. I was like, okay, we're starting fast. I was worried. But everything played out very well. The story progressed where you didn't have to do the homework. They were reporting on that this whole past week, where you can go into this film and just have a good time, and that's exactly what they did.
And I like, because they built it as there's no origin story. But if you were some random... I don't even know how you don't know the history of the... But I like the way they snuck in the origin without making it an origin story. With them being guests on the show, and let's take a look back at how they got here.
Yeah.
So you get a brief synopsis of, okay, how did they get the powers? What's going on? What's the deal? Without it being an origin story, which I thought was really clever. I agree with you. I like what they did with Johnny, because Johnny has come off in the past, even sometimes in the comic books, as just a hothead playboy who's only interested in himself and is shallow, doesn't have much character depth. This is a man who, no less than 3 or 4 times throughout the movie was willing to sacrifice his own life to save his family. They added so much depth to his character. They also showed that he's pretty smart too. There's a reason why this group was all in space. It wasn't just Reed being smart, the rest of them were lackeys. He figured out the language. So I like that they did that. I also really liked the touching scene where you see the dynamic that Ben is Reed's best friend. They had been best friends.
Nice.
And he did it in a joking manner with, you're not really that smart. And the playful, but then the reassuring hand on the back, like, I got you no matter what. That was, like I said, they nailed the perfect, the way Ben and Johnny bantered back and forth, but actually respect each other. Like, they just nailed it. And then, of course, for me, you see him right there he is. Franklin Richards, ladies and gentlemen, is introduced into the MCU, and they did not hide the fact that he is the most powerful being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Can do whatever he wants. Whatever he can think of, he can do. And I love that they didn't hide it. I mean, they made it evidently clear from the moment Galactus said why he wanted him. Like, no, this is why I want him, because... And then I think they did a really good job of highlighting how significantly important Franklin is going to be moving forward in the MCU, while still keeping the fun aspect of he's a kid, So just all in all, really, really good. And if you're going to have this new strategy, this works. So far, the new Daredevil, if you look at Thunderbolts, even though it was kind of like it didn't make a lot of money, but it was great. And now Fantastic Four, the strategy is Marvel is back. The Marvel that we loved is now back. They're not going to pump it out. Feige also said in this, and I'm going to kind of wrap it up with this, but to put it in perspective, guys, over the first 12 years, the Infinity War saga, as it was called, it was 50 total hours that was on screen. 50 total hours over that 12-year period. After Endgame, with the launch of the new phases and then the launch of Disney Plus and the television shows, 100 hours in half the time in just 6 years. They were just pumping that. It was
like 127 with TV shows, with the animation. Like, it's stupid how crazy it was.
So, I mean, slowing it back down, getting it back to what... There's a reason why people loved it so much. It's because you had to wait. You couldn't go see every couple weeks a new Marvel project. You had to wait a couple years to see a Marvel project, and it built anticipation. So I like that it's back there. And I also like that Feige's statements were very intentional, I think, about Miles Morales.
Oh, yeah.
Until after the Spider-Verse. He made it clear Miles is coming, which we already know he exists because his uncle was in. Like, they've already said that he exists. So he was very careful in his wording on how he said that. And then what I was talking about at the tease at the top of the show, guys, Feige is not going to be the head of Marvel Studios forever. He hinted at succession. He said it's been talked about. It's talked about regularly. That terrifies me. It needs to be, Feige needed to learn from Iger and the Disney board's mistake. Make sure the person that is succeeding you is the right person. And let me tell you, they have to be Kevin Feige. They have to be a James Gunn. And what I mean by that is they have to love the characters. They actually have to be comic book geeks and nerds and love and know the characters. Otherwise, it will be a complete disaster. There's a reason that Feige has been so successful running Marvel Studios, and now James Gunn is seeing success with DC. They're comic book geeks. They came up under Richard Donner. They understand the genre. They love the comic books. They know the characters. If his successor is not that, MCU dies. Flat out. Done. So, I'm just saying, please learn the mistakes and don't do that again. That's all I'm saying. Please don't do that again. Right? Like, that would be disastrous.
Yeah, completely agree. And I do love how on both sides of the aisle, DC and Marvel, color is back in the superhero genre, especially for DC. But, I mean, beautiful colors throughout Fantastic Four as well. I loved the blue. I loved the 60s look. The freaking step-down couch, the circular couch in the living room. Like, the set dressing was amazing. If you guys can, please go out and see Fantastic Four First Steps this weekend, especially because it's on my box office draft. So please be sure to do that.
And see
3 to 4
Superman.
times. Yeah, exactly.
And can we stop calling it a competition, guys? I'm already seeing in the feed, oh, it's gonna outdo Superman. It's competing. It's doing better than. We want them both to do well. We want it to be a number 1, number 2, at the box office. Just because you see one doesn't mean you don't have to see the other or vice versa. See them both. Multiple times. Stop calling it a competition and just bill it like the good people are. Super fantastic. Make it an event where it's just a superhero, badass, fun time at the box office. Stop with all the fucking hate and pitting them against each other. It's like, even the studios don't pit it against each other. They're rooting for each other. Like, just come on, man. I hate
know,
that
it was
shit.
great. Before the film even started, before any of the previews or anything started, it was just Emily and I and this guy and his son that were like 3 rows up, and it was still, nothing was happening. I was like, hey, are you excited about this movie? And he was like, yeah, but I'm terrified. I was like, why are we terrified? He said Galactus. I was like, yeah, I get that. And then he asked me if I went and saw Superman. And we had a great dynamic back and forth talking about superhero movies.
And that's how my theater...
This is what it's all about.
Exactly. And that's what my theater is. I saw a ton of the same people in my theater that I saw in Superman. And it's so funny. We have our spots. Everybody that I saw that was at Superman was sitting in the exact same seat that they were sitting in Superman, and I was sitting in my same seat that I saw Superman in, and they had Superman shirts on. They had Fantastic Four shirts on. That's how we want it, guys. We want you to be an MCU and a DCU fan. Let's just keep this thing going, man, because it's good not only for the superhero genre, it's good for the box office, it's good for filmmakers, it's good for theater chains, it's good for everybody if we love both. So just go see both, right? Speaking of, you've got some new on Superman, right?
Now, let's talk about Superman, okay? Warner Brothers Discovery, Superman through Wednesday, continue to rule over the box office, of course. It's powering to $433 million after just 2 weekends of release. Now, those ticket sales include $173 million overseas and $260 million from North America's market, of course, doing better here. The film is expected to fall to second place this weekend, of course, because of the release of Fantastic Four First Steps. But I mean, still, since Fantastic Four, for the past week, I have heard nothing but great things about Superman. So many people have been talking about it, and I've been playing the shit out of the soundtrack because one thing that James Gunn does right is soundtracks. And man, oh man, that one is so freaking good. I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. Like, oh, it's so good.
Without doubt. And I'll give it to Fantastic Four. I don't know who did the score, but the ding, 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 Fantastic Four. That was in my head all night after I left the theater because they inadvertently put it in certain spots and you couldn't help. Like every time they were about to do something heroic, it was like, dun, 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 dun. And I was like, okay, here comes something because they're about to be the Fantastic Four. I just loved it. So listen to that soundtrack too. All right. Little bit more in industry news, guys. The other biggest story in Hollywood right now, and it's not good, guys. It's not good. The FCC has finally granted the approvals necessary to clear the way for the $8 billion merger of Paramount Global and David Ellison's Skydance Media. The agency okayed the transfer of licenses for 28 CBS-owned local TV stations to the Skydance-led ownership group that is going to take over Paramount Global, removing the merger's final regulatory hurdle. Now, the approval by the FCC, led by Trump-appointed chairman Brendan Carr, comes after, and here we go, comes after Skydance made commitments to the agency / to Trump in 3 different areas. Ensuring diversity, equity, and inclusion would be eliminated after the companies are merging. Appointing an ombudsman to review complaints or bias and other concerns involving CBS. Yeah, they said they're going to launch a huge investigation into CBS News. Like, what the fuck? As a part of ensuring viewpoint diversity, and investing in local news and working in the station affiliates to serve local communities, because Skydance's top lawyer outlined that the pledges in 2 letters to Carr dated July 22nd. Now, it wasn't a unanimous decision. The commission voted 2-1 to approve the deal, with Commissioner Ana Gomez opposing it. Now, Gomez is the lone Democrat on the commission, and she was troubled, and rightfully so, by Paramount's payment to settle a suit brought by President Trump. You guys know he sued 60 Minutes, and they settled $16 million. There's all kinds of disturbing stuff here, guys. He's basically the reason Colbert got canceled. He didn't like that Colbert was poking fun of him. He made it clear he didn't like it. He hinted that he wouldn't approve this merger or allow this merger to be hinted if Colbert wasn't gotten rid of. CBS can say whatever they want to about financial decisions. Bullshit. Trump wasn't going to clear the merger. You got rid of Colbert. And Trump has made it clear. He said, I'll get rid of other things I don't like on there also. And now he's controlling. They're gonna do an investigation into CBS News. He is now taking control of what you will and will not hear from a news organization, journalism, the press, freedom of the press. Not anymore. Trump's like, if I don't like what they're saying, I'm gonna get rid of it. That is not freedom of the press. And the idea that this company is only going to be allowed, a private corporation is only allowed to have this merger because a sitting president threatened them with certain things that he wanted. That should be terrifying to anybody out there, especially in the entertainment industry, because he's got a lot of targets in the entertainment industry that he does not like. And are we going to see people bend over and, pardon my French here, take it up the ass from Trump because he doesn't like what they say? I mean, I feel like we've already lost the free press, right? And if we lose the one last outlet that I feel we have to express views and start conversations, and that's the arts, if we lose that now too, which it looks like we're on our way, what do we have left for expression? What do we have left? Trump's already gone after the National Endowment of the Arts. He doesn't like it. So, I don't know, man. This is disturbing on many levels to me.
Yeah, it's a very scary time that we live in. Yeah, because the cancellation, how chummy they are. At first when David Ellison came in and the merger was announced before being approved by the FCC, we were very excited because, personally, I like David Ellison.
Me too.
Because I feel like he is a creative, but I do think he may be a puppet for his dad, and that it will inevitably be a bad thing when it comes to freedom of speech, when it comes to different things like historical content that has been on CBS, Comedy Central, Paramount programming for years, like South Park. Oh my gosh, guys, this past week,
kudos to those guys.
Crazy.
Kudos to those guys, right?
That was insane. Everybody's been talking about it. Even Matt Bellany in The Town, which is like a huge, notorious Hollywood podcast, talking about Trump's tiny penis skit that was in South Park. It was absolutely wild. But if he has the power to take that away, that is a huge problem. And I'm scared. I really am scared what's going to happen to the entertainment industry, or at least to Paramount, because of this.
Yeah, and it's going to take people like Matt and Trey and ourselves and people that say, we don't give a fuck if you threaten us. We're going to come at it. They not only poked fun at Trump, they poked fun at the very network that's airing them by saying they made a whole skit about them paying out the settlement. Like they had Trump in bed with Satan and they attacked Paramount.
Well, and it's so crazy too, because those two guys just got a shit ton of money from them off of their new deal.
Exactly. So and then turn around and attack them.
Yeah, I'm there. We are still people. We are still creatives. We are still artists. And this is what we do for our content. This is what we do for our art. So this is still going to happen no matter what.
And anybody who doesn't think that this is a shift coming from the Trump administration and how it's all going down, for literally decades, David Letterman made a living poking fun at NBC and CBS when he shifted over to CBS, calling out the network on every dumb decision they ever made, saying they were reckless, they made and he was never threatened to be fired. He would let him have it. Like every night he'd rip into him, call him cheap, call him like there was never a worry that he was going to lose his job over it. There you go. That's where we're at. Like and it's gonna bleed over. We're gonna need people to not be scared. Just see this. They're building a new stadium for the Washington Commanders, and they want a tax abatement, which would require the federal government to give them. Trump said, "I'm not going to give you the federal tax abatement if you don't change the name back to the Redskins."
Yeah. What? He wants to do that with a couple of different teams.
And now he's trying to get into the NIL. He's trying to dictate how colleges will or won't use NIL money to... Like, these are private. You can't dictate from the federal government what private things do. Oh, my God. Yeah, we're going to keep an eye on it because this is going to play heavily into the entertainment industry, guys. It's going to mess with our industry big time. I will say question boldly. And keep speaking, because if we allow these threats to shut us down, we're in big trouble. Just keep going. Keep saying just say it.
Yes. Make some good trouble.
Yes, good trouble. There you go. Good.
Love it. We love it, man. But anyway, that is our industry news for this week. Man, oh man, a lot of craziness, as you can see, a lot of good, a lot of bad, a lot of sad this past week with all the deaths. But it was very entertaining to watch everything unfold this past week. And, E! News done after 34 years, the Michael Jackson biopic. It is getting split into two films, and they don't know when the second film's going to come out. So it's like, when does the first one end? Like, all the crazy things. So, and I'm pretty sure that's the first biopic that's getting a two-parter. That's historic in the entertainment industry. Man, it's been so fun on social media this past week.
And is E! News a victim of Trump? Because, it's on them. It's on E! Network is part of the Paramount family. And it's like, is that a victim? Because they poke fun at him. I mean, that's a long time to just all of a sudden say, we're out of there with it.
Right.
What? Like, come on, man. That launched the career of so many people that used to host that show over the decades. Like, it's just crazy. Crazy.
It is. Well, anyway, let's jump into our top 5 segment, man. This week, like Dustin teased, oh my goodness, it is top 5 child actors of all time. We're not going current day. We want to do all time. Specifically, for me, I went with actors that I saw throughout their whole entire careers, not actors that I knew were huge, and then turned into amazing. Like, for example, if I use Zendaya, I would feel bad because I didn't watch her as a child actor. I've just seen her as, an adult actor, and she's absolutely
I kind of did the same thing, so we're on the same page with this. Yeah.
There we go. I love it. So we've watched all of these people throughout their careers, and it's been quite an experience. But I want to give a shout out to Shirley Temple, because when I think child actor, I think of Shirley Temple. I think she is the one who cultivated and made child actors as famous as they were. But I could be wrong. Wasn't she a part of that whole Louis B. Mayer, MGM?
Yeah, no, Shirley Temple, and right there with her, 2 more that were huge child stars that went on to become successful adult stars and reshape the game in the golden age of Hollywood. Mickey Rooney and Judy Garland. 2 child stars that a lot of people forget. Mickey Rooney and Judy were young, like 13, 14, maybe even a little bit younger than that. Not as young as Shirley, but... And Mickey Rooney, shit, all the way up until his 90s and shit. Like, whole career, So, yeah, that's 3 really good. And, of course, we have to give a shout out to little Ronnie Howard, who was also a massively successful child actor that has had an extended career well into adulthood. So
Jacob Tremblay, a couple years ago, he's now, like, growing into more adult parts, which is weird. But he was an amazing child actor, like, in the 20 teens, as a But yeah, there's so
Haley
many. There's
Joel
so many.
Osment.
But
Yeah.
I know. Let's get to the
Let's
list.
get to
Let's get to the
ours,
list.
right?
Yeah, yeah. Number 5 for me goes to Tyler James Williams. You may not know the name, but I assure you, you know the face. You know him from Abbott Elementary currently,
Yes.
but when we first saw him, I remember him as a breakout star on Everybody Hates Chris, of course, about
Yes.
the youth of Chris Rock, comedian Chris Rock. And I absolutely love that he has success now and is continuing to be successful because when I was young, I remember watching Everybody Hates Chris and loving it
Yeah.
because I liked Chris Rock. I liked, him, Chris Rock, in like Longest Yard and all the Adam Sandler movies. And then when I got into the teenage years, watching his Def Jam comedy specials and things like that. But this was such a fun show because you have Terry Crews on it as well. And I mean, it's just a kid growing up in an urban community, in a city landscape. I think they were either in like New York or Philadelphia or somewhere like that. But it's great to see his transition into adulthood because the first time I saw him acting as an adult when he popped up on Walking Dead,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
now he's a regular or he is part of the main cast for Abbott Elementary. So it's been amazing to follow his career throughout this year, and I'm loving his success. So yeah,
Great
Tyler
pick.
James Williams for my number 5.
Yeah, fantastic. That is a great pick, and he really has successfully made the transition. I mean,
He has.
he's doing really well, and that's why I kind of picked the people that I picked too, because they did successfully transition into adulthood and escape the trap of right, because a
Yeah.
lot of them don't make it or run into some controversy. But it is what it is. My number 5. I don't think a lot of people actually realize that she started off as a child actor because she's been so relevant for so long as an adult. But my number 5, Reese Witherspoon, started off as a young preteen way back in the day in a movie called oh god, it was just Sam Waterston, Man in the Moon. Tiny little thing set in the South, like during the time in the 50s, 60s with Elvis and but she was itty bitty. And even in that movie, because Sam Waterston is a hell of an actor, guys. I mean, to see her go toe to toe, you could see right away, okay, she's got some talent. She's gonna do some stuff. And then she just transitioned into a couple of more movies, but I think the next one where she was still a teenager, but was like, was Fear with Mark Wahlberg, and then just
Yeah.
like that was like crazy. And then just catapulted from there into everything that we have now seen her become, with her production company and just this like awesomeness. But yeah, just an amazing individual talent wise, just both creative and suit, what she's been able to do. And to think that she started off, it's been fun watching her career because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people never thought she was going to be real serious and then wrote her off after Legally Blonde. Like, oh God, that's what she is. She's going to be like this pop candy culture type, one and done type thing. And then now look at her. I mean, Hello Sunshine. Hello. I mean, some of the most successful we've seen over the last decade has been Hello Sunshine. So, my number 5, Reese Witherspoon.
Very nice, man. Great pick. Great pick. My number 4 goes to Keke Palmer. I, of course, know her from the amazing Akira the Bee. When
Yes.
she was a teeny tiny little thing. That was great. I remember I was in like 4th grade or 5th grade when that movie came out.
Yep.
And just watching it over and over again in school and being like, oh my gosh, this is actually acceptable. And, we actually like this movie. So that was
Yeah.
fun. And then I remember that film she did with Corden Bloom jump in for Disney.
Yep.
And then you also have the long shots, of course, with Ice Cube, where she was like the quarterback. I thought that one was fun. But then even current day now, she was in films like Hustlers with freaking Jennifer Lopez, and she was in that Netflix. Well, no, not Netflix. When I watched it on Netflix recently, if I can find it, One of Them Days. Yes, she was
Yes.
in One
There you
of Them
go.
Days. That was an indie film that came out recently that I think is pure black cinema that is current day time. So if
Mm.
y'all haven't seen that, please be sure to do so. But yeah, Keke Palmer, she's been doing amazing. She is, of course, in Nope as well, Jordan Peele's Nope. So yeah, I think what she's been able to do with her career is absolutely amazing because she started off as an itty bitty little thing and now is still very successful and a good representation and a good idol or someone to look up to in the young women community, especially women of color. So it's an amazing thing to see. So number 4 for me, Keke Palmer.
Love that. Yeah, again, and beyond just the acting, right? Like really talented behind the scenes too. Yeah, I just really love that. My number 4, we have literally watched him grow up from the tiny short fat pudgy kid to like this, ripped cut action hero guy. Like what is going on there? That can't possibly be the same person, but it is. I'm talking about Jerry O'Connell, who, of course, like many people, I first saw in Stand By Me as the heavy set, dorky, crazy kid that nobody likes who falls on the tracks because but from there, you started to see the progression, right? He followed this path. The next thing I really remember seeing him in that really caught was My Secret Identity, where he's got these superpowers and he's got this professor that kind of guides him along, and it's really corny, goofy TV show, but he's starting to come out of the fat phase there, and you're starting to see, oh, okay, maybe this guy's getting a little like, and then of course the big thing that I think really launched him and transitioned him from child actor to adult actor to where he went on, of course, to Jerry Maguire and so many things, was a show called Sliders, which was so fantastic. There were so many epic people that their careers launched on Sliders. And it's basically they had this like wormhole type thing where they would slide into other universes. And like it was just an epic show. And that's where he was finally, he was cut, not like ripped yet, but solid, and he was like that action star now. He wasn't the fat little pudgy kid anymore, and where you could really start to see that transition, and you knew he was going to kind of have something moving into adulthood. And has also had quite the career behind as a producer and so it's been really fun when you see somebody transform like that in front of your eyes over the years. It's fun to watch, and he really came into his own as to who he was, and was really tight with River Phoenix. Was devastated by that loss because, of course, Stand By Me. So yeah, Jerry O'Connell, my number 4. Just really fun to watch him grow up, man.
Yeah, great pick, man. Great pick. Number 3 for me, I feel like I literally grew up with, and he grew up in such a weird way because at like 7 or 8, you put a whole entire popular franchise on his shoulders, and he carries the thing for 7 films. And I'm talking about Daniel Radcliffe.
Yes.
Of course, throughout the entire Harry Potter franchise, him, literally growing up before our eyes. And if you go back and watch the Harry Potter reunion special that's on HBO Max, it's amazing to see. And they talk about how each film's set dynamic is different because of the tone of the story. So because if y'all don't know, like, a lot of those films were directed by different people. I think you have 1 or 2 in there that might have directed more than one, but a lot of those Harry Potter films were directed by different people. So you have different captains of the ship that are taking over these kid actors and the story. And so they talked about the specialty of these directors coming in and setting the tone on set to where they knew that the storyline for these characters was going to be so dark, so they tried to make the on-set life for the kids so light. And I thought that was amazing. But Daniel Radcliffe, he's completely changed on the way that he approaches his career because he does a lot of Broadway stuff. He completely really got out of film and TV and stepped into more theater. But also a couple years ago, he did the Weird Al Yankovic biopic for the Roku channel. So he comes back every once in a while, but it's still interesting to see him be as relevant as he is in his own special way. So yeah, I love that about him, and he seems like such a down-to-earth individual and stays true to himself even though he's been in such a whirlwind of an industry. Maybe it's because all of those films are UK based. Maybe that's why he stayed a little bit more normal than a lot of the child actors that grow up in Hollywood or in the United States. I don't know, man, but it's an interesting theory. It's an interesting theory. But number 3 for me, Daniel Radcliffe.
Well, there you go. There you go. I love it. And yeah, just another really talented guy. And just I love that he's playing bad guys and he's like scoping out and doing like yeah, I love it. Okay, my number 3. If you're my age and you don't have this one on your list, I don't believe you. I just has not even. This is one of the most iconic scenes in film history, without doubt. It's when the lovely, beautiful Phoebe Cates is stepping out of the water, the swimming pool, and takes the top off as Judge Reinhold's character is whacking off to it. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, obviously. I'm talking about Phoebe Cates, who was like every guy's dream girl in the early 80s. But actually, she did a movie, and where I actually first saw her was before Fast Times at Ridgemont High in this goofy ass like movie called Paradise with Willie Ames way back in the day. Remember him from Charles in Charge and like Eight is Enough, and like it was set in like the 1800s Middle East, and which, okay, but why are they there? Kind of it was very strange, but it was also very controversy because it was rated R, and she's nude in it throughout, and she wasn't 18 yet. She was underage. She was underage and nude, and it was, I mean, very controversial at the time. Like, what's happening right now? How is this? But she was okay with it. She said her parents were okay with it. They didn't really have a problem with it. That nudity was just part of it. And like, she was very open about how that didn't bother her. There was this great interview with David Letterman when she's still relatively young. And she talks about it. It's like, yeah, just is what it was. I'm like, okay. But she, of course, went on to Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which launched her. And then she had a lot of hits after that, though. Gremlins, she was huge in Gremlins, where she was making that transition into adulthood. Then she's an adult, but goes back to her childhood with Drop Dead Fred, which was fantastic. She had a lot of stuff. And then she's kind of disappeared now. She's kind of, as she transitioned into an adult actress, she had a successful career for a few films as an adult. And then became a mom, just focused on motherhood and stepping out of the light. For anybody who doesn't know, she's married to Kevin Kline. Which is also pretty controversial because Kevin Kline is like old enough to be her father by many years. But they have had a very long and successful marriage and relationship, and good for them. But yeah, she was iconic. I mean, if you were any kid in the 80s, that scene, that movie, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, was like, yeah. So watching her kind of grow up and transition was fun as well. Phoebe Cates, my number 3.
I love that, man. I love that. My number 2 goes to Miranda Cosgrove. Oh my goodness. I remember seeing her for the first time probably in... I can't remember if it was either School of Rock or Drake and Josh. It was one of those because it was around the same time. But I mean, still, being so young and having such success on Nickelodeon and in film with Jack Black, which is still one of Jack Black's most iconic movies, is crazy because
for sure.
Like, her superstardom of what she was able to do leading into iCarly, where she was already that established face that all the kids knew because this was family-friendly content that she had been putting out. So she was always amazing to watch. The crossovers between iCarly and Victorious, of course, and then seeing her grow older. I know now she has been doing, the reboot of iCarly. She's been doing a lot of voiceover work. She also did a Mother of the Bride movie that was for Netflix, I believe. But yeah, she is still rocking and rolling in her own lane, I would say. She's still not like the huge big superstar that we know some of these other people are, but she is a very renowned, very well-known working actress, and kudos to her because she is amazing at everything she does, I feel like.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 2 for me, Miranda Cosgrove.
Oh, okay, yeah, without doubt. Like, I think she's legendary for your guys' generation. I mean, like, iCarly was like the thing. I mean, it was so yeah, hard to not have her on the list. My number 2, same thing, hard to not have on the list. Anthony Michael Hall. Like, I mean, when you think about the vacation movies, when you think about The Breakfast Club, you think about 16 Candles, Weird Science. Like, he was like a landmark in my time growing up in the 80s. Like, he was the go-to guy. I mean, just that little list right there. Vacation and Weird Science, 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club. Are you kidding me? Did a little stint on Saturday Night Live. Johnny B. Good. Just so many things. That legendary status as a child. And the Goofy, he's another one, much like Jerry O'Connell, who went from this, like, runt to this, like, ripped guy, you know? Like, okay, now I'm an action hero. But seeing that transition, and then that's when it kind of, like, after Johnny B. Good, when he played the quarterback jock type, that's when he started to transition, and you saw him on things like The Blacklist, and, like, he understood that he was typecast. And this is why I really wanted him on the list. Because he's like, how do you overcome that legendary status that Breakfast Club and 16 Candles and all made him, right? And it was change the game. So he started playing these heavies, these bad guys, these roughed up, you know. And all of a sudden people were like, wait a minute, this guy can act. This is Rusty? This is like, you know, and they were like, no, but yeah. And he's been doing that recently on Reacher. You know, you've seen him. He's just really made that transition and settled into, this is who I'm going to be now. Every now and then he'll tap back into the good guy, but he's been made a career on the back half of coming from that childhood fame as playing something that is completely away from that as an adult and seen success doing it. And I love that. So, and he was able to, you know, much like we were talking about with a lot of these people, stay away from the trap of being that successful, that young. Hollywood didn't eat him up. He disappeared for a little bit, stayed straight, came back, started to make that transition, and held it together the whole time, and without really ever getting himself in major trouble. And so I love that. So my number 2, Anthony Michael Hall, man.
Very nice, man. Very freaking nice. Well, the time has come.
Yes.
My number 1, of course. I wouldn't say that he's had a successful career as an adult, but he was anywhere and everywhere when he was a child. And when I think of child actor, he is the one I think of. And I'm talking about the one, the only, Macaulay Culkin. Of course, from the Home Alone franchise.
Yes.
But not just that. You had My Girl. You had, what was it, Richie Rich. You had a whole bunch of different stuff that he was a part of when he was a kid. And that whole backstory is crazy. If you guys don't know about the Culkin family, it's wild.
It's,
basically,
yeah.
using the children to pay rent. The children were their workhorses, basically. But I really love Macaulay Culkin. I feel like I will always be a supporter of his, even with how out there and different he is. I love that him and Brenda Song, another child actress from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. They are married and have a child now, and they look like they're doing amazing. But yeah, of course, every time I think about child stars, Macaulay Culkin passes my brain, because in the 90s, he was the kid. He was the one that everybody wanted. And it makes sense. But yeah, number 1 for me, Macaulay Culkin.
There you go. And I mean, yeah. And, you know, to his credit, though, like what you were saying, he's like, you can't really say he's had a successful career. But he hasn't had an unsuccessful career. He just stepped away. He just made the decision to step away, and I guess let the siblings shine, really, because the siblings have had
stuff that he wants to do. Like if it's very indie, like he's very much in his own lane.
Yep. Yep. And that's hard to do. A lot of people can't step away from it. And to have that control and say, I'm at the peak of my career and I'm just going to step back.
Yeah.
What? You're at the peak of your career. And that's when you tell all your people, I'm stepping back. And they're like, wait a minute. But kudos to him. I think that's, and he survived Mia Kunis and now is like and married and has a great relationship with Brenda Strong. And like, so good. Good. My number one should come as no surprise to anybody who knows me or anybody that listens to this podcast, because I still hardcore crush on this one. I think I always will. My number one is Alyssa Milano. Duh. Obviously, first came across her as Itty Bitty on Who's the Boss, little Samantha Maselli. And then Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Canterville Ghost, her infamous Teen Steam workout video. Ooh, back in the day, nobody worked out. They just watched that video. I was just saying. And was able to, after a couple of missteps, recover and become a successful adult actress. She did suffer from being typecast, and then she went a couple of bad routes and started making these really bad B movies where it was all about sex and nudity, and they were just god-awful. And pretty much everybody wrote her off. So she did what I was just saying, stepped back, reset, what do I do? I'm in trouble, this isn't who I. And then, of course, legendary, Charmed, landed Charmed, relaunched her as an adult, sent her back into superstardom, and has been able to successfully navigate since then. And I like because she's now picky and choosy. She was in Fear with Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg, obviously, and played a scary ass bitch in that. But I like how she now just owns who she is. She's controversial and doesn't step away from it. But she's very talented and it has a voice, and she's not afraid to use it, which is what I really like. But yeah, I mean, it's hard if you were growing up in the 80s and you were not crushing on Alyssa Milano, I don't know, like what? I had every poster of that girl on my wall. Like you walked in, it was comic books and Alyssa Milano. Boom. Like that was my room. She's just hot as fuck. Still hot as fuck. I mean, Alyssa, call me. Just come on the show. I got you.
Oh, goodness.
My number one, Alyssa Milano.
Anyway, guys. Oh, my God.
I may still or not have that Teen Steam video. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Every time you see a little weight loss, I'm going back to Teen Steam.
That's what it is. All credit to Alyssa. That's wild.
That's right.
But anyway, guys, we want to know, who is your favorite child actor of all time? There's been so many. It's kind of wild. Childhood fame can cause a lot of trauma for
without
these
doubt.
people. So, I mean, for the most part, I feel like we chose people who were able to overcome all of Hollywood's darkness and then come out the other side and still be successful in their own lane. So that's a lot of fun. But please be sure to let us know your favorite child actors. Comment down below in the YouTube comment section. Add us on X, Threads, all the good places. We love the fan interaction, man.
Yeah,
it's always a good time. But now we're heading over to the box office recap, where Superman flew into the #1 spot yet again with $58 million. Jurassic World came in at number 2 with $24 million. The number 3 was I Know What You Did Last Summer with $13 million. That's its opening weekend, guys, so that's not great.
Yeah,
I bet that franchise isn't going anywhere now.
I joked about it. I said apparently nobody cares what they did last summer.
No one cares.
I literally watched it by myself in a 200-seat plus theater, you guys.
Wild.
Literally by myself. That's, I mean, but even worse was Smurfs, right? Oh my God.
That's rough. Yeah, Smurfs came in at number 4, which also opened last weekend at $11 million. And F1, which has been out for a while, before, I think at the end of June.
Yeah.
Is still doing pretty well. They made about $10 million this past weekend. So, I mean, Apple is just loving that. This is their first true box office success, and one of the films that neither one of us picked. Maybe we should have. It's going to be interesting to see.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Neither one of us picked
why
that one,
did we not pick that? That was like, I don't even know.
It has legs, obviously. That's
it does.
But new movies coming out this week. Of course, you have Fantastic Four: First Steps. Please be sure to go see that one. Bambi: The Reckoning. I'm guessing it's that horror remake.
That is the latest in the horror remakes of Disney favorites.
It's so funny.
It's terrifying.
Oh Hi, and then The Home. Select theaters near you, I'm sure. And then, of course, movies you can still go see: Eddington, Megan 2.0, How to Train Your Dragon, Ilio, and Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning in select theaters near you. But go see Superman and Fantastic Four.
Yes, please.
That's the thing.
And Oh Hi. Oh Hi. That's that one with Logan Lerman and Molly Gordon. Molly Gordon, if the name doesn't sound familiar, guys, she's the girlfriend on The Bear. That one's getting a lot of really good talk and a lot of really good reviews, and I love Logan Lerman. I've loved him since Jack and Bobby, and I mean, he's great. So I might be the only one sitting in that theater watching that one this weekend, but I'm fine with that. I'll do it.
That's so funny. Well, the IMDb Pro's Top Trending segment is looking a little predictable, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
The top trending movie is Superman. The top trending show is Untamed. And the top trending TV star is David Cornsweet. Of course, of course. But anyway, guys, we got to thank you one more time for listening to episode 302 of ITCAFpodcast. Oh, my goodness, we wouldn't be able to do this without y'all, so we really appreciate it. Be sure to follow the podcast on social media at ITCAFpodcast, anywhere you are on social media, and then our Everything's OKP, our mental health podcast on social media. Be sure to follow those, and then the company, of course, at Crazy Ant Media as well. And then you can follow us both personally on social media. Myself at JLoganAustin and
at Crazy Ant CEO.
That's right, man. That's right. And you can subscribe to this podcast anywhere you listen to your podcast. We're on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Stitcher, and so much more. Be sure to hit that like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for all the latest and greatest notifications coming out of Crazy Ant Media. And then, of course, be sure to visit our website, www.crazyantmedia.com, where you can get a little bit of something for a little bit of everyone.
Yes.
If you're interested in filmmaking and our projects, you can find everything on our website, crazyantmedia.com. But man, oh man, it's true. Superheroes are back. I think where we're at, where Marvel is going, where the DC is starting, I think we're in a good place. I think superheroes are back.
Oh, without doubt. And I could not be a more happy comic book / superhero movie geek. I am I love it. Of course, I never bailed. I was still geeking even when people say they were bad. I was still there. I was still rooting. I was just like, come on, guys. Come on. And by the way, the unprecedented record continues. This is what, 32, 37? Something like that.
I think it's 37. I heard somebody say 37.
Yeah, anyway, straight over 12, 13, 14, 15 years, 15, 16. Anyway, continued number one at the box office. Marvel has continuously opened even the bombs open at number one. That is an unprecedented run, y'all. Say what you want about it, but that is insane, right? Are you looking up how many?
I'm trying to. Of course, there's no,
With the Fantastic Four included, how many MCU movies have there been? Let's see.
37.
37 is correct.
Yes.
So, guys, since 2008, 37 movies over that period of time have opened at number one. Kevin Feige will never be touched. That's an unprecedented run. That franchise will never be touched. The MCU has made more money than any franchise in box office history. Nobody's ever going to catch it with that success. Even when they bomb, they make $500,000. I mean,
literally.
So, yeah, just congratulations to them. And let's see that surge for DC. Let's see that kind of success for the DCU, right? Let's go.
Yes, completely agree. And as always, for 302 episodes, we love the one, the only,
Oh, bro!